Clarissa here. We are back live. Yay. And I love having our guests on this show. We do this show as often as we possibly can as a public service announcement to get the word out there and make sure that everyone knows that if they need help with domestic violence, there is a place for them to call, there's a place for them to go, and there's a place to get help. And so that's why I love bringing on our good friend, Ashley Rumschlag. There she is. She is the VP. You're the VP of
Digital Services.
I never remember that. Why can I never remember that? I don't know why.
Okay. Titles are usually irrelevant. It's just all a matter of just getting stuff done, right?
Well, it's good to see you. Ashley is
Good
here
to
in
see you
Phoenix,
as well.
where I am too. And we do come on, again, as I said, as frequently as we can. I think we've been doing this, gosh, Ashley, it must be a year now. I think
getting close. I think we started right as COVID was hitting. So
yeah, right.
I remember that was one of our first shows. We talked about how COVID was affecting domestic violence. So yeah.
Absolutely. And so very exciting that we're coming up on our first year. And I'm going to go ahead right now and tell everybody that domesticshelters.org is going to have their own show now on the In the Limelight channel, which is very exciting. So one more place to go to get the information you need, the help you need. We're putting it out straight across the board. They are on my newsletter. They are, I get them out as much as I possibly can. And they are doing an extraordinary job of doing just the same. So I wanted to talk to you this morning, Ashley, about the new guides that you're putting out. Why did you decide to do that? And obviously who they're for.
Right. Yes. So people that are familiar with the site know that we have 800 plus articles about domestic violence topics. And a lot of times it can be hard to kind of piece all that information together to get the full answer to your question. And so what we did, we kind of, distilled all of those topics and looked at what people were looking for the most and created a lineup of what we are calling a comprehensive guide to answer specific questions. So some of the topics that we covered are, specifically, what is domestic violence is the first one that we released. What is narcissistic abuse? Talking about teen dating violence, answering the question, am I being abused? Those are the 4 that are up there right now. We have a long list of ones that we're in development on, talking about terms like battered women syndrome, things that people are searching for, but we want to be able to really answer the question and give the full picture on what people need to know about that specific topic. So they're a little different than our articles. They're a lot longer. They have a lot more sections to them, but we're hopeful that that's a kind of a one-stop shop, kind of one place that people can go and really get all the answers that they need to their questions. And as far as
again, this is.
I was just going to say, to answer your second question was, who are they for? And I would say they're for, anyone that has questions, but specifically geared towards survivors, depending on what the question is, but also advocates as well. So we had advocates in mind a lot of times when we were writing these.
Right. And a lot of times we've also talked about, it's also for people that know of people that are being abused, because a lot of people that are, sitting on the sidelines and not knowing exactly what to do, when to do, how to do it. There's a plethora of information for them as well.
Absolutely. And that's why, we are so grateful for the platform that we have as far as a website. It's easy to share. You can send anyone a link to the guides and they're immediately directed to that page and they can look through that information. So absolutely, it's a great way to, give people information if you can do so safely, so that way they can start to understand what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I bring everybody's attention to the bottom of the video where it does say domesticshelters.org. Again, get over there because the information is exactly what you need to know. I get their newsletter every week just to see what they're up to and keep in the loop so that I know what to talk about. All the things that they're coming up with, you're inventing all the time and doing the best. Now, I'm going to go with the last time I heard there were about 3,000 shelters all over the United States and some in Canada. How are the numbers growing there?
Yeah, so we're still at about 2,800 shelters in our database. We're working through, as we always are, trying to get up-to-date information, constantly contacting all of the different shelters, making sure that we have the correct hotline number, hours of operation, even during COVID, just things like that. So we're always making sure that we have all available resources in our database, but also the most up-to-date information. And it's a lot of work. A lot of work goes into that. And we're very proud that, that we're able to provide that resource for people, because, when you need help, you need help. And so, you don't want one more barrier in your way, when you're looking for a hotline number or, someone to email just to touch base with, or, to understand where the resources are. We don't want to have any more barriers in the way. We want to make sure that it's as easy as possible when people kind of, are able to get in that space where they're ready to, either leave or to start thinking about leaving.
Absolutely. And there is a plan. I call it a blueprint, if you will, but there's a plan. It's there, and it's mapped out. Or the people at domesticshelters.org, when you're calling the hotline, they are there to help you map that out. There are ways out. It's been done before. Many women before you have done it, and many women after you, unfortunately, are going to be put in the position to have to do it. So do get the help that you need. There really is no excuse not to. So sorry about that. It is off. It's just coming through the TV as well. Through the computer as well. Sorry about that. And no, this is, you just never know when you go live what you're going to get. So let's talk a minute about the very exciting Purple Ribbon Awards that I know you've been working feverishly on for the last couple of months. I love the initiative. It's so exciting. Let's let everybody know what that's about.
Yes. So as of January 1st, we launched the first annual Purple Ribbon Awards. And what we aim to do with this program is recognize, not only just, the shelters, the programs, the volunteers, the executives, the advocates. We want to recognize the whole continuum of people who help make domestic violence survivors feel supported and help them through their journey to healing. So that's not only, like I said, the shelters and programs, but also the law enforcement, judges, different community programs like Kiwanis groups or Boy Scouts. We really want to just look at the broader scope of the people that come into this field and help survivors, and really just shine a light on them, show the world what is being done, and how it's being done very, very well, and with so much care and so much passion. So we want to really shine a light on those people.
It's an extraordinary idea. It really is, because nobody ever knows. I mean, without something like this, you'd never know what was really being done. The boots on the ground, let's call it that way. The people that are in the trenches, the people that are in the shelters, and everything else. You'd never know what was going on. So I think it's a really great idea that the domestic shelters has come up with there.
Yeah, and of course there's some prize money on the table here. We're looking at $30,000 in grants that will be awarded amongst the top winners. So across the 30 plus categories that are available, our judges will go through and score each individual entry. And I'll expand on that. So each category, each of the 30 categories is then expanded upon by organization size. So there'll be a lot of awards that will be needing judged. And from there, we'll look at the top scores and give all the top winners in each category a Purple Ribbon medallion, recognize them on domesticshelters.org, really highlight those stories. And then from there, we'll distribute those grant dollars.
Wow. We've talked over the years about the rise in the numbers of phone calls and women mostly women looking for help, looking for assistance, looking for a way out over this last year in COVID, because we found that obviously most people were at home now and in lockdown with the abuser. So what kind of numbers, if we see moving forward? And now that people are starting a little bit to go back to work, how is that sort of looking? Are the numbers still steady? Are they decreasing a little bit, or are they on the rise? Oh, sorry.
You're a popular person.
I guess I'm a popular person today. I really don't know what the deal is. Sorry about that. Please answer the question.
Yeah, no, and I don't know that I really have a clear answer to that question, because, we are certainly seeing, emails still coming in. We're still seeing people message us on Facebook looking for services and looking for help. I'm not really sure how the transition that we're kind of making right now as a society is really affecting survivors. I do know that, programs are having a little bit more time to react, and a lot of more COVID specific plans are in place and they're up and running, and, they're doing the best that they can. So I know that services are only getting better and more available. It's just a matter of, I don't know if the need has shifted anymore, or if people have kind of, if it stayed consistent across the board. It's really hard. And that's one thing we're really looking forward to in a way. I don't know how you look forward to hearing how bad or how, good it was. But, as the years kind of progress, we'll learn a lot more about how, COVID really did affect, people who were stuck at home with an abuser or, forced to work, working from home with, the abuser there all the time. So there's a lot to be learned from this. And, hopefully we won't ever have to go through this again in our lifetimes and our children's lifetimes. But, it's something that we'll definitely be looking back at and trying to learn as much as we can.
Right. One of the guides that you're working on right now is, what is domestic abuse? And the other one is, am I experiencing abuse?
Mm-hmm.
What is domestic abuse? And how do you know if you're experiencing it? Of course, I think we're talking about apart from the physical abuse.
Yeah. So, I mean, certainly there's a lot to dive into there. But, what I want people to know, and I think, hopefully you'll take a time to read the guides if they think that they're, experiencing either, physical or mental or financial abuse. Excuse me. But what I want people to understand is that it's that pattern of power and control. So it's that pattern of, your partner wants to control everything you're doing. You don't feel safe. You feel like something is wrong with the relationship, but maybe you can't put your finger on it. It's just that idea that you don't really have control over your life anymore, that, you're constantly walking on eggshells. You're constantly trying to make sure you don't say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. There's no, back and forth in the relationship. It's very uneven when it comes to, power and control.
Right.
And so those are really some of the red flags that people need to look for. And, it can be hard because it's someone that person loves and, maybe has a child with, or maybe has been with for many, many years. And so it's hard to kind of break down that thought that, either this person has changed or that they have been experiencing this all along and unable to kind of connect the dots. So it takes a lot to break through and really, accept and understand what's happening. So, one of the many reasons why domestic violence is way more complicated than, we kind of give it credit for in our society.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other reasons we talked about a couple of different times over the last year is the control over finances. And because a lot of women are afraid to leave because how am I going to live? Where am I going to go? How will I support my children and the like, apart from legalities? And we could talk about that also. But, the importance of, getting a plan also around, before you leave also, there are ways to do that. How or do the guides suggest that women do that?
Yeah. So as far as what to do next, we always are starting from the top. We want you to connect with your local advocate, as a kind of collective resource that we provide. We don't have a hotline. We don't have a specific, advocate on call to kind of help with services, because it's so important that people connect with the local advocate in their area, because services vary from county to county, state to state. It's so broad across what is going to be available to you. So we always say, just go to our searchable database, type in your location, and jot down the number of maybe the first 2 or 3 shelters on that list, or programs if they're available. Obviously, in some areas, there's only one option.
Right.
But look at those organizations, connect with them, and excuse me. Even if you're not ready to leave, or even if you don't ever it hasn't even crossed your mind that you want to go into a shelter or that you want to leave, just call them. They'll help you to understand what's going on. Give you some insight, give you some perspective, give you some coping mechanisms, even just things that you can, just relying on experts is really important. And that's what those advocates are there for.
And I think it's really important as we talk about the plan, there's a plan and a blueprint, and that's something you would do over time. But also if you needed something now, if you needed something tonight, if you needed something immediately, there are shelters ready, all over the United States for something. And that,
right. Yeah. And I always kind of err on the side of not assuming that anyone's ready to go to a shelter, but absolutely people, those shelters are there for that purpose, for when it's an emergency and when, things are, getting bad, and when things are escalating, and when, you or your lives of your children are in danger. Please know that there are places that are ready and willing to take you in. Obviously, there are a lot of barriers as far as constraints with number of beds, number of rooms. But, just know that, there are people out there who want to help, and they will do their very best to find a safe place for you.
Right. And social, you can find domesticshelters.org pretty much everywhere. But again, on the ticker below, everybody, you can see domesticshelters.org. The last question I'm going to ask you, and I know that we touched upon this in one of our last calls, was if someone wanted to start their own shelter, if someone wanted to step in and sort of be there as a shelter for incoming women, how might they do that?
Yeah, so we always encourage people that want to get involved and help survivors to, connect with existing shelters, talk to people who are doing that work right now, and get a better sense of what is involved, what gaps are in their community, because as much as someone may want to do a specific role in their community, there may be someone already doing it really well, and so there are other ways that they can be of assistance. So like I said, connect with your local shelters. Also, make connections at your state coalition. Each state in the United States has a coalition that is dedicated to kind of being an advocate for domestic violence programs and funding throughout the state. So connecting with your local or your state coalition is a really great way to understand the dynamics of domestic violence funding and programming throughout your state.
Fantastic. All right. Unless there's anything else that you'd like to add before we go, I'm going to give appointment to next time, Ashley.
No, that's all I want to say today. I really appreciate the time to just shout all this information out there to your audience and to everyone who will listen.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very excited about our new channel. There'll be more about that as we go, but it's upcoming and it's going to be very exciting because you're going to be able to get the information right there on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick. You're going to be able to get it on Apple TV. You're going to be able to get it on many other smart TV devices as well and apps. So really exciting stuff going on there. Everybody, I'm going to give you an appointment until the next time. It should be in about 2 weeks or so. We'll talk to you again real soon, Ashley. Ashley, thank you, and Domestic Shelters for all the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the In the Limelight podcast, intelligent media for the savvy entrepreneur. You can listen to this and all of my podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Pandora, and Inspired News Radio. You'll find all of my videos and the In the Limelight digital magazine on clarissaburt.com. And don't forget to connect with me on social pretty much anywhere. Stay well until we meet again. In the Limelight.